Now that intro was a little bit how you going, but I'm just keen to have a beer, keen to get back out on the water, seeing as though we're going to be allowed to now. You know, we've been in lockdown for over a month, about a month or two now, so feels like an eternity without having a cast, but just keen to get out there this weekend and get into it. So I thought today, sit down and have a bit of a chin wag about my first three meteries. All very special fish, and I can remember them like they were yesterday. They all come one season after each other, so it was a slow start to the metre career. But leading up to that first one, I worked very hard for it, and I just couldn't believe it when it happened. And then the next one, and now it's sort of, once you sort of get one, they always say once you get one or once you get a couple, you sort of know how to do it, and they come in the boat a lot easier. I've definitely found that over the last few seasons. Being able to target big fish and have really consistent results on targeting big fish. But back in the early days when I was fishing the river a lot, catching a lot of small fish, I just couldn't catch those big ones. But it just goes with the career of chasing these fish. You start off catching small ones. I think a lot of people do in the rivers where they are a bit easier to catch, and then you work your way up. And now I pretty much only fish impoundments and target those big metre Murray Cod. Whereas when I was younger, I just loved getting down the river, hiking stupid amount of Ks, and throwing top waters and spinnerbaits, and just having a ball catching fish in that 50 to 70 centimetre range. Anyway, we'll jump straight to the first metre that I caught. It was in the local river, a river that I grew up fishing. I fished the upper waters when I was younger, catching trout with the old man, and then as I got into my teens, I used to fish a lot in the middle sections, chasing carp. Really cut our teeth catching carp in this river, just using corn and bread and that type of stuff. But we used to just froth it, get down to the river. School holidays or after school, we'd spend the whole time down there, and you really learn how to fool the fish, I guess. A lot of people don't rate carp, but they can be a challenge to catch. And you still got to fool the fish into eating. And then once you do hook the carp, they go like the clappers. So they're a really good fish to learn how to fight a fish out. You know, we used to use light line, 6 pound mono straight through, and catching these 10, 15 pound carp. So it used to be good fun in the river. But then once we started getting a bit older, sort of 14, 15, 16, we started really becoming obsessed with the green fish. It took me a while to get my first one. I remember I reckon I would have had 20 odd trips down the river before I caught that first cod. It was only a little fella, 50 centimetres on a spinnerbait. But once I finally caught that one, it just turned into an obsession, and we used to go down there as often as we could. Travel down about an hour from town, and just hike heaps of Ks to try and get to the best holes. And just fish. It was mainly spinnerbaits and surface back then. The old rule, golden hour, the hour before, hour after sunrise, and then an hour before sunset. We'd throw the surface lures, stuff like the Jakko pompadour and that. We used to love them. And then all through the day we just fished spinnerbaits. Just used to have so much success just throwing 1/2 ounce, 5/8 ounce spinnerbaits, and we just chip away at that. But we only ever caught small fish until it was the 7th of December. 2015. Now, I was with the old man. We went down, so I was just after the start of the season, and I was living in Newcastle, but come down for the start of the season, and also had a music festival. And so the 1st and 2nd, we went out for 1st and 2nd of December of 2015, we went out for a camping trip out on the river. And we done really good. We caught some really nice fish up to about 70 centimetres, just on surface and spinnerbaits, as I said. And that was it. Good session. Then I went to the music festival on the weekend and got pretty lit up. So I was in a pretty bad shape, and I had to go back to Newcastle on the Tuesday. But got back home, and the old man's like, "You want to go back out?" And this is on the Monday arvo. And I certainly wasn't 100% after partying all weekend, but got the courage to go out there. It was a bit of an effort, an hour drive and then a few Ks walk into the good spots, but thought, bugger it, got to do it. Not going to be back down here for a while because I'm going back to Newey. So chucked the hiking boots on, got the backpack ready, and we went back down there. So I fished the same spot that we did at the start of the season the week prior, and I was just fishing this log infested hole. It was a really good hole. We caught a lot of fish out of it in the past, but only I think the best was sort of mid-70s out of there, which was actually probably my PB for that time. Would have only been a mid-70s fish, and yeah, I've just casted. It was at 5 o'clock. I had the GoPro rolling, so I'll show you footage of all of these fish along. I don't know why I had the GoPro where I did. I sat it on the bank for some reason, because I just knew that we were a good chance of getting a fish out of this hole. I didn't know the calibre of fish we were going to get, but it turned out to be a masterpiece because I got footage of the whole thing. So 5 o'clock, thrown this spinnerbait here. She's a 5/8 of an ounce assassin spinnerbait, just straight out of the packet, double Colorado. Used to run these assassins religiously. Now I've kept a bit of the leader on there, 30-pound leader, and I think it was 20 or 30-pound braid I was using back then. Little 100 size Tatchell HD reel, and a Daiwa Gen Black cranky rod was, I'm pretty sure, 6'4", so a lot lighter than the swim bait spec rods that we use these days. So the bigger cod knew how to play up on it. But yeah, cast this in to the snag, and couple of cranks, and bang, he smacked it, and I knew straight away it was a good fish. I'd never felt anything like that before on the end of my line, so I'm screaming at the old man, like, get over here, get over here. This is a cracker. And I had a good tussle with him because he was right in that timber, right where all those laydowns were over on the other side of the river. It's a real good tussle. I got him out of there, gave him everything to get him out, got him pretty much to us, and then once I got him to us, like we were in the river, he actually shot back over, and I just couldn't stop him. He was just peel and drag straight back over to the snags on the other side of the river, and I thought I was done. I thought I was going to lose him because I could not stop him. I was thumbing that spool and just managed to stop him and turn him back and get him back to us, and then I reckon we mucked around for 2 minutes trying to get a set of lip grips in him because he was just such a big fish and he just didn't want to open his mouth to get those lip grips in. Very stressful times when I've never seen a fish that big in my life, and the old man's trying to get the lip grips in. It was very stressful. I'm yelling at him, get him in, get him in, get him in. And thankfully he finally got him in, and we got that fish. I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh, this is going to have to go close to me to this fish. I'd never seen anything like it. We put him on the lie detector and he actually went 114, so it was a bloody good way to start the metre career. It still stands as my second biggest Murray Cod to date. It was a cracker fish out of a waterway I grew up fishing. I wouldn't have it any other way, and with the old man, so very special fish. Got a few photos. The quality of the film work and the photos aren't up to today's scratch, but that just goes with the time. You've got to expect that. And got the fish back in the water and sent him back home. I was just absolutely stoked. So that was my first metre cod at 114 in 2015. So pretty proud of that one. Moving on to the second metre. So the 2015 season went through 2016, December 2016 into 2017. Next one come on the 1st of April 2017. So about a year and a half break between the meteries. I thought I'd be able to get a few in the boat, well, a few on the bank, because I still only fished the river in quick succession after doing it, but just wasn't meant to be. We started going back to just plenty of sessions, walking the bank and catching those smaller size fish until this morning. This was definitely an unforgettable morning. I hadn't caught another big fish. I'd caught a few. I'd started fishing impoundments and caught a few fish in the 90s, but I hadn't caught anything big like over 80 in the river since that initial 114. Went down. It was a real foggy morning, real cold. Just started to get into that transition period where you're going out of those warm summer conditions down here in the sunny west into some cooler conditions where those overnight temperatures really drop down to around 0 when you start getting the frost come in. So first frost, wasn't first frost, but it wasn't too far off. It was a real cold morning. Got out there right on sunrise. We were down on the river in a different spot, a bit closer to town. A really good hole. Caught a lot of good fish out of there over the years as well, but nothing of the calibre of fish that I caught that day. I was with the old man again, hiked into the spot, and it's just when the Jakko gantrels come out. So I had a Jakko gantrel on in a gizzard shad colour, and I was running the standard hooks, not the old standard Jakko hooks. It's a no-no, but I was doing it because I had no idea back then. They'd only sort of just come out, and they were just sort of making some waves in the cod scene. Anyway, I was there fishing around some timber on the bank, and I caught something there the left-hand side of me, and I thought it was a big carp on the surface initially, and I kept casting away in front of me, and it would have been 20 metres away, and it was making ripples on the surface, and I thought, just what carp do. Didn't think anything of it till it got to about 10 metres, and it breached the surface again. And I looked over, and I just seen the trademark white tips on the tail that the Goodoo have, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually a big cod. So I ripped my gantrel straight back. It was a fair way out, just burning back, and waited. The fish was just it was just coming down the river, just slowly swimming, just on the surface. I don't know what it was doing, but there was still heaps of fog on the water. I could just make him out. So I just sat there and waited till he was about 2 metres from crossing my path, and he was about 5 metres off the bank in front of me. Once he got there, I just flipped a nice little cast out with the gantrel, put it about 3 metres past him, and just slow winded it back past his nose as he was coming, and just intersected him. And then I could see him, and then as soon as he picked that gantrel up, he took off. I gave it a quick burn and paused, and then bang, I seen him just grab it just under the surface. It was a hectic. Wasn't a metre. That wasn't my second metre. Got him in. I was going crazy, yelling the old man, quick, come, I got a good one. But he went 92, so a great river fish for where we're fishing. We're fishing pretty high up. You know, it's rapids holes, that type of thing. It's nearly trout water, but catching these big cod up there, it's something else. So I got that fish on the gantrel, 92. I was absolutely stoked. Using the standard Jakko hooks, you can imagine with a decent fish like that, they were absolutely trashed. So I couldn't use that lure again because I didn't have any trebles on me. So I was pretty chuffed, I didn't care. And I actually went to my tackle box. And picked up this thing. It's a little micro chatterbait, something you'd probably use for bass. I actually pulled this out of Tackle Warehouse in the States. Used to do a lot of orders with Tackle Warehouse just for all their largemouth bass gear, and get just heaps of different random cod stuff that I'd use for cod. That back then was when the Aussie dollar was pretty good, so it was pretty cheap to get tackle in nowadays. She's about 65 cents as we speak, so it just isn't worth it. But yeah, that's what it is. It's a little Z-Man chatterbait. Now, if you didn't have the plastic on there, you're dead set running for bass. But that's a 14 centimetre Western shad tease on the back of there. I just put that on there, and then just had a stinger hook on the back of it. So I just rigged that up a couple of nights before we went out. And I thought, after I'd already got the 92, I was pretty stoked, and the gantrel was stuffed, the hooks. I thought, oh, well, I'll just give this a run, see how it goes. And sure enough, very next cast, I walked up to the next hole, very first cast with this thing, cast out, I was standing right next to the old man, and then, yeah, about 5 cranks the reel in, whack. And, you know, we'd probably caught hundreds of small fish out of this section of river over the years, and never caught anything like that 92. So I wasn't expecting another big fish, but he hit it, and he started playing up, and I said to the old man, I said, Jesus, I think this is another good fish. I hadn't seen him, it was a fair way out. But I said, yeah, I think this is a good one. Anyway, mucked around with him for a while. He was just throwing his head, and I couldn't get him to come very close because I was still using that sort of lighter tackle. And it probably took maybe a minute or two before I seen the fish. And then when I seen it, I was like, holy shit, like he made the 92 look small. So got quite tense. The old man got the camera out and took a bit of footage. I was fighting him. Another stressful time. Trying to land those fish on the bank with a set of boga grips. And they know how to avoid them. It's a lot easier when you're in the boat out in an impoundment, just picking them up in the net. But when you've only got a set of boga grips and you're on a steep bank, it can be quite difficult. But once again, the old man hopped in the drink and and got the lip grips into him, and yeah, we had the lip grips on another cracker fish. This one went 111, but it was an absolute beast. It had a head on it. It was huge. I couldn't believe it. I could barely pick this thing up. It was that big. I reckon it was definitely a lot heavier than that first one I caught, but that first one was a bit longer. So 111. Probably took five odd minutes to get that fish with a set of lip grips in it. The first one, the 114, took 7.5. I could actually time it because I had it on the GoPro. So I've never had a fight like that before. After that, with all the Murray Cod, all the metres I've caught after that, it's just those two river donkeys just knew how to put up a show, and they definitely don't go as hard as the impoundments as those ones. Anyway, we got some more snaps of that fish, bit of footage, and let him go, and that was the second metre Murray Cod that I caught. Another stonker. Two over 110 to start it. Not bad, eh? Quick sip of the Northern. And we'll have a John Dory about the third one. The third one come later that year, so it was the next season. Come on the 24th of December 2017. So they were a season after a season, but they were both in 2017. These the second and third one. Now this fish, I was out at the local where I do most of my fishing, out at Lake Wangler with Cuz, and we do a bit of a traditional trip where just prior to Christmas each year we go to Wangler for a couple of nights, get on the beers, play up a bit, and do some cod fishing. So we're out there the 23rd, the day before we got out there, and Cuz actually did a bit of damage on a spinnerbait. He put 3 in the boat, 3 between sort of 60 and 70. And, you know, not bad fish, but not what we were chasing. And then, yeah, we just had a kip on the boat. So what we did, we were on the Skeeter, just chucked the electric down in a bay. There was bugger all wind, and hit spot lock, and then just jumped in sleeping bags and laid on the casting deck for the night. So that was the plan. And then had a alarm to get up the next morning right on sunrise. You know, back in those days, I didn't fish in the dark very often. Don't know why. I was probably pretty scared or something, but it was more about whenever you could see, that's when you sort of started to fish. So right on sunrise, the alarm went off. If anyone knows Cuz, he doesn't get up very easily. It's a real challenge to get him up. So he kept kipping while I got up and had my first few casts right on that sunrise. And it was only 5 casts, I reckon, in. I hadn't even taken the electric motor off spot lock. I was still casting where we slept. And yeah, about 5th cast, bang, on. And I yelled at the cars. I said, I'm on. But he wasn't listening because you know what he's like. He loves to sleep. And then it comes straight to the boat. And I seen it. I didn't think it was a big fish until I seen it, and it sort of just come up, and I was like, "Holy shit, Cuz, get up!" And I was into him. And then once he heard me voice when there was a bit of stress there, he got straight out of his sleeping bag and grabbed the net, and then he just sort of dived in and scooped the fish up. It was probably the worst fight I've had from a big Murray Cod in my life. It absolutely did nothing, but we got him in the boat. And he went 101, so that was the third one, just over the mark. Really good fish, real healthy fish for Wangler. And it come on a duckfin chatter bait. So not long after divers started bringing the duckfins in, if anyone follows my other videos, you know how much I love these duckfin shads. They're my favourite lure by a long, long way. I've got a lot of big cod on them. Normally on the 200mm, I use a 200mm all the time now, but this was actually on the 150mm. With the old rig I used to do, just your standard stinger hook behind your main hook, 1/2 ounce TT head, and then I used to run the double split ring onto the chatter blade, which is only a smaller chatter blade, and then a shitty old clip that I got from BCF that actually opened up and was open when the fish got in the boat. So that's a little word of warning. Spend good money on your clips, because you don't want to lose a fish like that on a cheap, dodgy one. Anyway, I'll show you a look at that fish. A little duckfin. Lovely big metre 01. Let him go.
Yes.
So yeah, he was a third metre, a 101. Happy days. That was, 3 years ago. Since then, the metres have come a lot easier. The following season, which was sort of last season, the last 2 years, I've sort of put 10 in the boat. So starting to really work out. I don't fish the river much anymore. Mainly because they've had some bad fish kills go through there, and it's just not what it used to be. So unfortunately, I would like to get down there and go and hike some caves. I probably need it after all the pies I eat, but just not worth it anymore. Hopefully we can get some really good rain over the next few seasons, and some of those fish can come up out of the dams and replenish the population. But until then, I've just been focusing all my time on fishing impoundments and trying to really learn how to catch cod in impoundments. The good thing about impoundments is the amount of big fish seems to be a lot higher compared to the rivers around the area I fish. Might be different down in areas where, like the Murray and rivers like that, where there is a lot of big fish, but around our area there's not many big fish in the rivers. There is big fish in the impoundments, and that's what I purely try to focus on these days, and starting to work them out. You never have cod fully figured out. The minute you do think you've got them worked out, they'll chuck 5 donut sessions on you in a row, which I've actually just had prior to this COVID stuff. So it's cod fishing's never an easy game. Everyone says it, but yeah, it's all a learning curve and getting the confidence and starting to pick a few things up now and starting to get more consistent at catching those big fish. These days I probably catch just as many big fish over 80 centimetres to fish that I catch under 80, whereas back in the day, fishing smaller stuff, fishing smaller water, I used to really catch like 95% of my fish would be under 60 centimetres. Anyway guys, we might wrap it up there. I need to go get another beer. This one's all but done. If you like the video, give her a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be working on getting some more content out there, especially now that this COVID stuff's starting to really ease and we can get back out on the water. And I've been doing a fair few tutorials and that type of thing sitting in the boat, but trying to do a lot more fishing type stuff where I'm actually fishing out there. It can be hard with cod fishing, which I predominantly do. As you know, I go through a lot of sessions on the water where I just don't catch anything, or catch and fish in the dark, where it just makes it hard to actually get footage of them and actually tell a story with that footage. But I'm going to keep working on it, trying to put more content out there. Going down to the Snowies this weekend to do some trout fishing, and then after that it'll be full send into the winter cod. So yeah, subscribe to the channel, come along with me. I'll try and upload as much content as possible. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Until the next one, let's go.